numbers at the price level. It measures changes in the fixed basket of goods and services. To get further insight in the computation of consumer price index and rate of inflation, we direct users to our technical manual, which is the Consumer Price Index Manual, Concepts and Methods. Data for the computation of consumer price index and inflation are obtained from our routine Ghana Living Standard Survey, which is essentially the importance of the items that house persons in Ghana place on different goods and services, otherwise termed as expenditure weight of the items. In terms to compute consumer price index, inflation stood at 43.1% relative to 42.5% that was recorded for the month of June 2023. The fourth time in a row we see year-on-year inflation inching up from April 2023 to July 2023. Disaggregating this from a food and non-food perspective, that is year-on-year inflation, we did find a 21.2 percentage point difference between food and non-food inflation, with food inflation 55.0% relative to 33.8%. From both food and non-food perspective, we see an upward trend with food inflation inching up by 0.8 percentage points between June and July 2023, and non-food inflation increasing by 0.4 percentage points from 33.4 in June 2023 to 33.8 in July 2023. Disaggregating further from a locally produced item and an imported item perspective, we find an 8.2 percentage point difference between inflation for imported items and inflation for locally produced items, with imported items recording an inflation rate of 45.7% and locally produced items 37.5%. Further disaggregating year-on-year inflation from a regional perspective, the Northeast region recorded the highest rate of 64.0%, and the Greater Accra region recorded the lowest rate of 31.8%, indicating about a 2 times difference between these two regions, that is the Northeast region and the Greater Accra region. On a month-on-month basis, we saw that month-on-month inflation inched up by 0.4 percentage points, 3.2 for June 2023 and 3.6 for July 2023. Disaggregating this from a food and non-food perspective, food inflation on a month-on-month basis was 3.8%, and non-food inflation on a month-on-month basis was 3.4%. We now focus on some issues to engender policy discourse on how to further tame down the inflation rate that we have. Rate of 43.1%. We identified items in the 307 items of the we identify items that recorded rates higher than the 43.1%. Given that we have 307 items in the basket, we had total of 161 items that recorded rates higher than the 43.1% that was recorded in the month of July 2023. These items were relatively more of imported items than locally produced items. Specifically, imported items constituted about 52% of the 161 items that recorded rates higher than the national average, and we find sort of a balance between food and non-food items, as food items constituted 49% and non-food items 51%. We identified 20 items that saw the highest price changes in the month of July 2023. Consistent with our previous releases, we identified 3 new items that have joined the top 20 items that saw the highest price changes in the month of July 2023. This included country milk, that was 53rd in our last month ranking, and currently has joined the list of items that saw the list of 20 items that saw the highest price changes in the month of July 2023. The other items that joined country milk were toothpaste and paint. It should be acknowledged that these 3 items are more of imported items than locally produced items. Also, in the list of the top 20 items, we identified items that have significant weight, which means that they're going to impact more on our inflation rate. These items included fish that we get from the sea, and also included smoked herrings, which respectively have weight of 1.8% and 2.9%, with their respective price changes of 8.1% and 80.6%. Definitely, these two items would impact more on the inflation rate that we recorded for the month of July 2023. The third item that also has a significant weight greater than 1 was fresh tomatoes, which recorded a price change of 79.7%, and given its weight of 1.2%, will equally impact more on the national inflation rate of 43.1%. From a regional perspective, we identified over the last 11 months that Northeast region recorded the highest change between September 2022 and July 2023, with a change of 33.7% between September 2022 and July 2023. Over the same time period, Greater Accra region slowed down the least, with a slowdown from September 2022 to July 2023 of 13.1%.